Subscribe or they will haunt you. People who have had somebody die for you. What is your story? My brother jumped in front of his wife when a maniac was trying to run them over. My brother was killed on the 15th of November 2015 in Eugene, Oregon, while on a weekend getaway. He and his wife had just finished breakfast and were walking back to their car to go back to the place they were staying. As they were crossing the road, a man in a Toyota Highlander, who had just beat his parents with a baseball bat, killing the father and permanently injuring his mother, decided to drive into my brother and his wife at full speed. According to the police reconstruction and witnesses, my brother put his body in front of his wife's and took the brunt of the impact. He was killed instantly, and my brother's body slammed into his wife, breaking nearly all her bones on the left side of her body. She lived. R.I.P. Mark J. Sanford. A truly amazing man, brother, friend, son, stepfather and husband. I'm sorry about what happened to your brother. He sounded like a wonderful man. I couldn't help but to look him up, and I saw the letter he wrote. It was absolutely beautiful and really shed light on the little things we take for granted. I'm late to the party, so many won't see this, but I wanted to put this out there. Obvious throwaway because people know my personal account, and I'm not ready to talk about it with most people. Most details are intentionally made ambiguous. The irony that I'm posting it here for everyone is not lost on me. I was in Afghanistan in 2011, working in humanitarian assistance / human terrain analysis. I was working in the southern part of a city in the southeast of the country, working in various villages / communities over the course of a few weeks. I have Middle Eastern / Southwest Asian features, so the Afghans took a liking to me. I got to know one village community particularly well, to the point that one of the younger boys, about 13, would always walk with me holding my hand, a sign of friendship in their culture. We'd talk about life in America, what his life was like in his Afghanistan, what he wanted to be when he grew up. Basic shit, nothing serious. I left that community to work in other parts of the region for a little while, with the intention of coming back for one more visit before I went back to HQ to write reports and shit. So I go back for that one visit to find the community cold to me, which is very unusual in Pashtunwali. Pashtuns is the ethnicity of the people in the area. Pashtunwali is like their ethnic code of conduct. As we're leaving the area, we found the body of the kid that was hanging out with me. He was executed by gunshot and left to rot in a ditch. He didn't die for me in the sense that he sacrificed himself for my sake. Rather, he died for being my friend. The people of that community refused to speak to any NATO forces after that. Not me personally, but it did affect me. For those who live in the US, you may have heard about this as it made national news. I used to work at an elementary school, and one day during dismissal time, one of the parked school buses suddenly jumped the curb towards a group of children. The principal was not too far behind them and pushed them out of the way just in time before the bus hit her and killed her instantly. I was there when it happened. That was the bravest and most selfless thing I have ever seen anyone do, and proved her character in how passionate she was with working with children. When I was 7 years old, my mother and I got into a car accident. I was asleep in the front seat wearing no seatbelt. She saw the oncoming car approaching and threw herself on top of me, saving me from flying through the windshield, but killing her instantly. I think about her every day, and I want to live to tell her legacy. Her name was Jennifer Lee. Rwandan genocide survivor here. I lost my dad during the Rwandan genocide when I was 4 years old. He died protecting my sister, my mother, and me. The genocide was basically between two tribes, Hutus and Tutsis. My parents were each from different tribes. To make a long story short, both tribes were willing to take all of us in. But the non-verbal agreement was that the parent that wasn't from the appropriate tribe would be dealt with. Not wanting my mom to die, my dad chose to bring us to her tribe's side of the conflict, thus sealing his own death in the process. He was taken to some woods somewhere, and he had his head chopped off. What always gets to me is my mom telling me how he silently cried as he was taken away. Damn, man. I'm sorry your family had to go through that. So senseless. Your dad made the ultimate sacrifice for you, your siblings, and your mom. I hope you all have good memories of him. My grandfather at the time was 94 years old. My 4-year-old daughter got the flu, which he then gave to me. I was homesick with my daughter, and I couldn't even take care of myself, let alone my daughter. My grandfather took care of the both of us. I remember waking up to him covering me with a blanket, like when I was a child. He ended up getting the flu from us, and his respiratory system couldn't take it. He passed because he took care of me and my daughter, and it makes me cry every time I remember that. I've posted this on other threads before, but it's a story about my dad. It was winter time, when I was 10. My father and I were walking across the ice covering the canal across from his house. I believe we were going for lunch. Before I realized what was going on, the ice broke from under us. And after some time of struggling to stay afloat, someone had finally noticed us in the water, encircled with ice. The guy threw an extension cord out to us. My dad told me to grab hold of it, and he pushed hard on me to get me up on the ice, so the guy could pull me to shore. As he pushed up on me, I looked back to see his face disappear under the water. That was the last time I ever saw him. I have been suicidal for a couple of months, when I was 21. I guess it's always been there, but some things in my life triggered it. I knew I didn't want to die, but something inside me was telling me it's the right choice and that no one really wanted me in their life. I started to plan my suicide, without anyone knowing. Around that time, my sister-in-law got sick, and passed away right on New Year's Eve. And suddenly I got 2 small children to care for. At first, I didn't know what to do. My plans were basically changed super fast. I didn't have time to think on what just happened. But these children changed me. I started to see that yes, I'm worth something and needed. And nothing makes me cry so much than thinking of dying and leaving these kids with more death in their life. I don't know if it counts or not, but I was basically saved by these kids and their mom. My mom died giving birth to me. I didn't find out about the circumstances of her death until I was 7. And my aunt said something about it to me. It messed me up for a while. I often wonder what my life would have been like if she was around. I had very little female influence in my life. I was raised by my dad and 5 brothers. Dad just treated me like one of the boys, so I grew up working on cars and motorcycles. My dad has never dated anyone since. That sometimes makes me sad too. I look at all the joy my husband brings into my life and want that for him. But I think he is just done with that part of his life. My brothers will sometimes tell stories about her. It's really the only way I know anything about her. There are some pictures around too. People tell me I look just like her and have the same attitude. I just have to take their word for it. I'm older now than she ever was. I look at all the things going on in my life and I feel incredibly guilty for taking that away from her. It makes me want to live my life in a way that I think would make her proud.